Hi, boys and girls. How are you today? Have you ever seen a very little tiny baby? Can they walk? Not when they're really tiny, but little babies usually walk when they're about 1 year old. Some babies walk before that. They might walk when they're only like 10 months old. That's not quite a year. And some of them might not walk until they're 15 months old, and that's a little bit over a year. But they do learn how to walk, each in their own time. I bet that there's some things that you want to learn, and eventually you'll learn them in your own time. Today's story is about a duck who doesn't do everything that her brothers and sisters do, but she eventually learns how to do it in her own time. The author is Jonathan Emmett. The author writes the words on the book. Here's the title, Ruby in Her Own Time. And the illustrator is Rebecca Harry. The illustrator is the person who draws the pictures. And here are the pictures that she drew for the front of the book. And here's the picture of Ruby that she drew in the back of the book. Once upon a time, upon a nest, beside a lake, there lived two ducks, a mother duck and a father duck. There were 5 eggs in the nest. Mother duck sat upon the nest all day and all night, through howling wind and driving rain, looking after the eggs, all 5 of them. Then one bright morning, the eggs began to hatch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Little beaks poked out into the sunlight. 1, 2, 3, 4. Little ducklings shook their feathers in the breeze. We'll call them Rufus, Rory, Rosie, and Rebecca, said Father Duck, and Mother Duck agreed. But the 5th egg did nothing. I wonder if that egg will ever hatch. Will it ever hatch? Said Father Duck. It will, said Mother Duck, in its own time. And sure enough, it did. She's very small, said Father Duck. What shall we call her? We'll call her Ruby, said Mother Duck, because she's small and precious. Rufus, Rory, Rosie, and Rebecca ate whatever they were given. They ate anything and everything. But Ruby ate nothing. Will she ever eat? Said Father Duck. She will, said Mother Duck, in her own time. And sure enough, she did. Rufus, Rory, Rosie, and Rebecca swam off whenever they were able. They swam anywhere and everywhere. But Ruby swam nowhere. Will she ever learn to swim? Said Father Duck. She will, said Mother Duck, in her own time. And sure enough, she did. Rufus, Rory, Rosie, and Rebecca grew bigger. And Ruby grew bigger too. Her feathers grew out and her wings grew broad and beautiful. And when Rufus, Rory, Rosie, and Rebecca began to fly, Ruby flew too. Rufus, Rory, Rosie, and Rebecca flew far and wide. They flew out across the water. They flew up among the trees. But Ruby flew farther and wider. She flew out beyond the water. She flew up above the trees. She flew anywhere and everywhere. She stretched out her beautiful wings and soared high among the clouds. Mother Duck and Father Duck watched Ruby flying off into the distance. "Will she ever come back?" said Mother Duck. "She will," said Father Duck, "in her own time." And sure enough, she did. What were some of the things that Ruby's brothers and sisters were able to do before Ruby was able to do them? If you said that her brothers and sisters were born first and that they were eating things before she started to eat and they were swimming before she started to swim, you're right. But eventually, Ruby was able to do those things in her own time. Can you think of something that you really want to do? Maybe you've tried to do it, you just can't do it yet. Can you think of something? Maybe you want to ride a bike without training wheels. Maybe you want to tie your shoes. There's a whole bunch of things. Maybe you want to do something that you see an older brother or sister or a bigger kid doing. You'll be able to do it in your own time. You just need to practice and practice and practice, and eventually you will get it. When I was a little girl and I was in school, all my friends were playing the xylophone. And I tried and I tried, and I couldn't play it. It took me a long time of practicing and practicing to get it right. And now I know a lot about music, and I can even play the piano and the flute too. So I'm going to play a song for you today on the piano that you probably know. It's called Five Little Ducks, and you can sing it with me. So for the song, you're going to start out with holding 5 fingers up for the 5 little ducks. And then one at a time, some of them are not coming back. So let's get ready for that song. 5 little ducks went out one day over the hills and far away. Mother duck said, quack, 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 but only 4 little ducks came back. Can you hold up 4 fingers like this? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 little ducks went out one day over the hills and far away. Mother duck said, quack, 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 but only 3 little ducks came back. Can you hold up 3 fingers? I have 3 fingers right here. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3. 3 little ducks went out one day over the hills and far away. Mother duck said, quack, 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 but only 2 little ducks came back. Can you hold up 2 fingers like this? 1, 2. 2 little ducks went out one day over the hills and far away. Mother duck said, quack, 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 but only 1 little duck came back. Hold up 1 finger now. 1 little duck went out one day over the hills and far away. Mother duck said, quack, 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 but none of her little ducks came back. So how many are there now? 0. And how does she feel? Very, very sad. So let's sing in a sad voice. Sad mother duck went out one day over the hills and far away. Mother duck said, quack, 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 and all of her 5 little ducks came back. looking at this book, I noticed that the ducks were on top of the water. Sometimes they were swimming, but sometimes they would look like they were just sitting on top of the water. They were floating on top of the water. Have you ever gone to a swimming pool and tried to float? And have you ever wondered why some things float and some things do not? Maybe we could try an experiment and see if we can find out why some things float and some do not. We're going to put some things in water, and if they float, they're going to be up on top. This is the word float. And if they go to the bottom of the water, that means they sink. This is the word sink. Sink means they go down to the bottom. We're going to try this with some things that I have in the house. The first thing that I have for us to try is a quarter. It's a piece of money. Now we're going to make a prediction. A prediction is a guess. That's a big word. Can we say the word prediction? Prediction. Can we clap it? Prediction. And a prediction is a guess. Can you say the word guess? Guess. Now, it's okay if your prediction is not right. All good scientists make predictions before they come up with a reason as to why things happen or they don't happen. So we're going to make our prediction about this quarter. Do you think it's going to sink? If you think it's going to sink, that means it's going to go down in the water. You're going to give me a thumbs down. If you think it's going to float in the water, give me a thumbs up because it's going to float on top. Make your prediction now, thumbs up or thumbs down. If you have a parent with you, you can tell them why you think it's going to sink or float. Here is the water, and here is the quarter. I'm going to put it in. Let's see what happens. What happened to it? It sank to the bottom. Let's try something else. I have a paper clip here. What do you think is going to happen to this paper clip? Make your prediction. Is it going to float? Put your thumb up. Or is it going to sink? Put your thumb down. Okay, give me your prediction. Is it going to be thumbs up or thumbs down? And if you have an adult with you, tell them why you think it's going to sink or float. Here is our paper clip. Let's drop it in, and it sank all the way to the bottom. Wow, both the quarter and the paper clip sank to the bottom. They are both shiny things, and I have a piece of foil here that's shining. I wonder if that's going to sink too. Now, I don't think it's going to fit in that bowl, so maybe if I just scrunch it up a bit. Okay, it's all scrunched up now, it can fit. Okay, so make your prediction. Do you think it's going to float, thumbs up, or sink, thumbs down? And tell an adult why you think it's going to happen. Comes our foil. Oh, look, it is floating on top of the water. I wonder why that is happening. The other shiny things sank. I have another thing here that is a little bit shiny. I wonder if that's going to sink or float. Make your prediction. Thumbs up, it's going to float. Thumbs down, it's going to sink. And tell your adult why you think it's going to sink or float. Okay, here are my scissors. Let's see what happens. They sank all the way to the bottom. Well, my scissors sank all the way to the bottom. I have a pencil here. My pencil's pretty long. I wonder if that's going to sink or float. Make your prediction. Thumbs up if you think it's going to float. Thumbs down if you think it's going to sink. And tell an adult why you think it's going to sink or float. Here is the pencil. Let's see what happens. Wow, it floated on top. Did your prediction turn out true? Next, I have a rock here, and after the rock, I have a juice cap, and look, they are almost the same size. Let's make our prediction about the rock first. Do you think it's going to float? Thumbs up. Do you think it's going to sink? Thumbs down. Tell your adult why you think it's going to sink or float. Here is my rock. It sank to the bottom. We have the juice cap right here. It's about the same size as the rock. What do you think is going to happen? Make a prediction. Thumbs up if you think it's going to float, or a thumbs down if you think it's going to sink like the rock did. And tell an adult why you made that prediction. We're going to add the juice cap. It floated on top. How was your prediction? Now I have something else. I have a rubber band. Make your prediction. Is it going to float? Thumbs up if you think it's going to float on top. Thumbs down if you think it's going to sink down to the bottom. And tell an adult why you think it's going to sink or float. Here's a rubber band. What happened to it? It sank all the way down to the bottom. I only have 2 more things left. I have a tangerine and an apple. So we're going to try each of these. Here goes. What do you think is going to happen with the tangerine? Make your prediction. Thumbs up if you think it's going to float. Thumbs down if you think it's going to sink down to the bottom. And tell an adult why you think it's going to sink or float. Here is my tangerine, getting ready, and it is floating up ready for my last item today. This is my apple. And my apple is the biggest thing that we're going to try today. Do you think this apple is going to float? Or do you think it's going to sink down to the bottom? Make your prediction and tell an adult why you think it's going to sink or float. Here it goes. Wow, that big apple is floating on top of the water. Let's look at it underneath here. You can see the things that are down on the bottom that sank to the bottom, and you can see the things that are floating on top of the water. Let's look at our items that floated and the items that were sinking. It looks like it doesn't matter what size something is, because we had small things that were sinking and we had small things that were floating. And my biggest thing of all floated. That was a surprise. And it doesn't look like it makes any difference if something is shiny. We had shiny things that were sinking, and we had a shiny thing that floated. I wonder what makes something sink or float. Well, everything that we see and touch is made up of something called molecules. Can you say that word with me? Molecules. Let's try and clap it. Molecules. Molecules are so tiny, you can't even see them. And everything has molecules in it. Some things have molecules that are all squished together tight, just like I squished up this piece of foil. And other things have molecules that are all spread apart, and they have lots of room there. So, if something has lots of molecules that are all squished together, it is very dense. Can you say the word dense? Let's clap it. Dense. When it's very dense, it sinks in the water, just like my quarter did. But if the molecules are all spread apart, it's not very dense, and then it will float, just like the apple did. Well, I hope you will experiment with this activity. Find some things around your house and have a mother or father or a big brother or sister help you to set up an activity to make things sink or float. Now make sure that it's okay with them if you put it in the water, because some things cannot be put in the water. Like if I put my phone in the water, it wouldn't work anymore. So do make sure to ask if it's okay. And I hope you have fun experimenting and making predictions about what is going to sink or float, just like a real scientist. Have a great day.